And we're back. Peach State Power live here at 7:30 on the East Coast. Fresh off a Georgia football victory. I'm joined alongside Eddie from Acworth, Andy Stowe. We've changed up the formation in the screens. I'm just not realizing that.
Yeah, I don't like being on this bottom.
Yeah, no, I'm supposed to be at the bottom.
Eddie doesn't deserve my spot, but it's okay. He can stay there.
No,
Right.
flip it.
Hold on.
Oh gosh.
There we go. All right, we're back.
Okay, now kick Eddie off.
I feel better down here, actually, looking up at you two clowns. I feel better.
All right. Well, the guy at the bottom is the MVP apparently, according to Eddie. Guys, how you doing this wonderful Sunday evening?
Hey, we got a win by the Dogs. They started fast. That was one of the things that a lot of people were complaining about, including me last year. So they had 3 touchdowns in the first 4 drives. 145-7. So good weekend. Everything's good when Georgia wins football game.
Yeah, I called into the Bulldog Brunch today to speak to JD, and now Eric Zayer's on that show. And this is how I started, and I'll tell you guys how I think. Georgia won, did everything they needed to do. Bama lost, Clemson lost, Texas lost. At the time, I was drinking a pumpkin spice latte, and we're sitting here talking football. It's here, boys. It's here.
Everything was good except that pumpkin spice latte. That's some. Oof.
They're good. Knock it all you want. I don't care. I like the way they taste. So.
Miss me with the pumpkin flavored drinks. Miss me with it. Them dogs is hell. Says sorry. We have. I'm sorry, but Peach State Power takes precedence over Miami Notre Dame.
Yeah,
you're not gonna miss anything. First hour it's gonna be a slog.
You're only going.
You're gonna miss 2 picks by Carson Beck.
Ooh, whoa! All right. Well, we'll get the show right back on track. Eddie's firing up. Gentlemen, let's get right into the game. 45-7.
Yeah.
Georgia dominates Marshall. Left no doubt, which as you would expect in a 38.5-point game spread. I guess let's start with general takeaways. I think the first one, and I've seen this everywhere. I think Dash said it. I think Brent Rollins said it. This team enjoyed being back on the field, and this team looked genuinely happy to be playing the game of football first and foremost.
Yep. And they looked happy to be playing with Gunnar Stockton as the quarterback. I think that's going to be one of the keys. They're playing for him, and I think, whatever. We're not going to bash Carson back because who knows? Nobody knows the true stories, but Eddie will. But they
always knows the truth.
He does, but they do seem to enjoy playing for Gunnar Stockton. And Gunnar, you saw he's out there, he's fired up when he gets the run. The touchdown, he kind of does that little side turning looking thing, and so it's. Again, it's Marshall. So they did what we wanted them to do, though. So I was fully excited. They looked like they were having fun, and you saw some really some good new players. Branch, that dude is a weapon. I know we'll talk about him, but he and Dwight Phillips, explosive. They were fun to watch. It was in the defense getting downhill. They were fast. They were coming to the ball. So it was fun to watch.
To bounce off of what you said with Gunnar Stockton, do y'all realize that it's been 80 years since a quarterback for Georgia on the opening day had 2 running and 2 passing TDs? 80 years. Isn't that crazy to think about? Okay, go ahead and say it. Yeah, I was there 80 years ago.
You were 27 at that time, right? But,
yeah, that's right. So I was there. I'll just take the words out of y'all's mouth. But I love to, again, bounce off what you said, Andy. I love the triple option, quote unquote.
But that was a speed option. That was a legit speed option. Yes, that was
right.
so.
And Gunnar read those perfectly.
Yes.
He's really good at keeping the ball, handing it off when he needs to. Now, he did miss 1 pitch on the edge he could have made, but I'll give you that. But secondly, this game went exactly like we wanted it to go, right? By the, 3 or 4 minutes left in the third quarter, all them are first starters, first stringers are yucking it up on the sideline, and we're seeing the young bucks come in. We had none of – I really think this may be an exaggeration to a tad, but I think the backups got more experience yesterday than they got all of last year, because every single game it seemed like we were, they'd come back. Mississippi State, they're scoring a bunch of points. We got to keep our starters in. Maybe Tennessee Tech. That was the only game where they really got some meaningful playing time. And I think that's just massive for this team to have those backups in there. Ryan Puglisi got meaningful snaps. What if Gunnar gets knocked loopy one game and he has to come in and play? He's got a little experience. That's so huge. And last thing I want to point out, KJ Bolden.
Yeah.
Not on the field as a sophomore. And he looks like a fifth-year senior out there, just everywhere, running the defense. And then you turn around on special teams, he's a gunner making plays, and he's blocking punts. He doesn't have to do that. He could probably tell Kirby, I just want to play defense because I'm worried about my NFL career, et cetera. He wants to be on the football field, and he made a great block. And who was the first person back when the block was recovered? Him, celebrating with teammates. Just awesome to see that kind of stuff.
According to Brent Rollins, he did this in his doctor's diagnosis, Sunday Reflection. Go check that out over on ujsports.com. Fantastic stuff from him. 79 different players for Georgia got snaps on offense or defense this past weekend.
Wow.
79. And 56 of those had at least 10 snaps. Had at least 10.
Really?
That's a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, you talked about it.
Yeah.
No, they had that maybe twice last year. Tennessee Tech and UMass. But I think UMass, I don't know. I think the starters were in for UMass.
Up and
late
way
third quarter.
late into the game. Yeah, they didn't come out. So that was we need this. This team needs this to. And plus, you know what happened? We saw we saw Ernest Green go down. We saw Juan Gaston go down. Like, you've got to have your backups getting experience because you're literally one play away, and we saw it yesterday already. So,
well, I want to bounce off that point because Eddie and Andy, I think that's going to be the biggest. That was one of my concerns going into this year was when you look at the offensive line room. We talked about, I think it was last week. I think Georgia has 4 guys, maybe 4 or 5 guys they feel confident can play winning football on the interior. 4 or 5. That's Calhoun. That's Unai. That's Juan Gaston. That's Michael Morris at guard. But at tackle, depth, at least experience depth, is not there.
Yeah.
Bo Hughley getting in that game yesterday was huge for him.
Yes.
He needed those reps. He needed those reps just as much as anybody. And he got in there. He played a good bit of snaps. That's huge for Georgia. They're going to have to figure something out in terms of what's going to happen next if Juan Gaston and Ernest Green cannot get healthy. But right now, good news is, I guess on the injury front, Georgia does not need really anybody to beat Austin Peay. So, and that's another thing. They didn't need Dalen Everett to beat Marshall this past weekend. What did y'all think about those guys, the guys that filled in due to those injuries?
Well, I thought Gaston getting hurt was big because, you know, a lot of the talk is Gaston is the backup right and left tackle as well. A lot of people said he would be the next tackle up. So that kind of, you know, obviously sucks. But no, I really thought once at the beginning of the game, I was a little upset about the offensive line. I didn't think they were doing great. And then when the injuries happened, then you saw Calhoun come in at right guard and you saw Hughley go at right tackle. And I thought they moved the ball better. So I thought they did great. And plus, again, you're talking about getting guys experience when they're coming. I mean, Tennessee's coming. It's happening soon, and they got to have experience. So, you know, I thought they did really well. I thought they did good. And then all the freshmen that came in, you know, I was like, they played a lot of freshmen, and I thought they all played really well. So, Eddie's got a mic problem, I believe. So, but yeah,
go ahead and filibuster real quick.
Better? Yeah. Can y'all hear me? Is that better?
Yeah, there we go. That's
there
better.
you go.
Okay, he's right. Thank you. Yeah, my bad. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, he's right. I had the wrong setting. And like I said, I'm out of town, so I'm in a totally different atmosphere here. So thank you, Paul. Hey, Paul Meharry, our old co-host, doing something positive for the show. Isn't that great? He never did that before. Yeah, real friends. Thank you, Paul.
Well, Eddie, what did you think about Calhoun and Hughley? So,
yeah, I mean, what you just said, Harrison, made me think about it. We're not going to need those guys, Dalen Everett, Juan Gaston, you know, if Ernest Green's hurt against Austin Peay. But wouldn't it be nice going into Tennessee if we had those injuries? We don't need these guys because the backups have been playing so well. We're good. You know, and that's what yesterday proved out and borne out from what I'm saying, getting those backups important and very good reps. And maybe you feel more comfortable there. Heck, maybe Ernest Green lost his job yesterday. I'm not saying he did, but you know what I'm saying? It was that good for Bo Hughley to come in like that. So The more reps these guys get, the better, because this is a grind. I mean, we're going to end up playing hopefully 16 possible games, maybe 17. I don't know. I y'all do the math, but it's a lot of football, and it's a grind, and there's no way you're going to survive this season without some major injuries. It's just impossible.
I want to touch what you just said on Ernest Green maybe losing his job. What do you mean?
Sorry, I'm laughing at Paul.
He is not.
Paul, yeah, the voice.
He
of
does
an
not
angel.
have a voice of an angel. I can tell you that. No.
The heart of one. I got the heart of one though.
So Angel Voice did. What do you mean about Green losing his job? Do you think Hughley?
No. I don't think that he did, but I'm saying, what if going forward, let's say Bo Hughley has to start next weekend and play the entire game. Maybe he plays well enough, and they're like, well, he's playing better than Ernest Green right now, and Ernest Green's not quite as healthy as he should be. And these guys could easily lose their starting position if a backup comes through that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought Hughley looked great. I mean, honestly, I thought the offensive line, I thought they looked better with Calhoun and Hughley in, but that was just me.
Let's talk about it, because I know we're going kind of out of order, but it's just kind of how the way the show flows.
That's fine.
So we'll get back to everything else. Let's talk about the biggest impact freshman. I think there's a lot of names we can put here. I know, what was it? Eddie had a question pre-show about who is the answer here, who could be the answer. I guess I'll go ahead and start and take this one in hopes that maybe.
This is just to clarify. This is just not for the year. This is yesterday's game, because Andy had that question. So just to clarify,
it's not just true freshmen. It is open to the redshirt freshmen, as somebody clarified pre-show. I'm going to go ahead and take this name off the board because I saw it in the chat. Dwight Phillips had two of the most explosive runs of the day Saturday. Definitely put in his audition for that second running back role that we talked about. Obviously, the second running back on the field Saturday was Cash Jones, as Paul Mahary reminded us in the comment section. Although I think that did obviously come down to the situation. But yes, Paul Mahary was right, indeed.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. I'll take that up, but go ahead. Finish your thought.
All right. Dwight Phillips had the touchdown run, I think 17-yard touchdown run on a toss sweep play. Boys, we had a toss sweep. We had a speed option, a read option, and then we saw a toss sweep. I loved it. And we saw a toss sweep
Harrison's
twice.
Getting
we
excited.
even saw a dang fullback on
the
the field.
Fullback. Don't forget the fullback.
Yes.
We had a fullback.
Saw a fullback in a Georgia
My
football
phone
game
blew up
in
when that
2020.
happened from Harrison. We got a fullback, boys.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it on last Sunday's show.
Yeah, me and Eddie
Finally
were begging for fullbacks. Yeah.
So, anyways, Dwight Phillips, my biggest impact freshman from the day.
Eddie, who do you got?
Well, first of all, I want to clarify. Paul was incorrect, because on the show, if you go back, and I watched it just to be sure, he did say Cash Jones. But then later on, as we kind of laughed about it, he said, no. In all seriousness, it's going to be Roderick Robinson. I can pull the tape and send it to you. So he did not pick Cash Jones.
Eddie has
wrong.
receipts.
He is keeping receipts.
Well, I mean, it's all there. Everybody can pull these shows up on YouTube and watch them themselves. The record's there. Paul's wrong. My impact freshman, and y'all are probably going to laugh at this, is Rashawn Dinkins. Now, I know what you're going to say. My God, he looked terrible in coverage. He gave up that long bomb, which led to a touchdown. Okay. Guess what? Rashawn Dinkins was on the field learning from that. That's why it's important that these kids do these kinds of things. And 27 was up there. He didn't get credited with a tackle, but I saw one that he had where a guy made a little slant move in front of him, and he pounded that guy, and he looked just like Javon Bullard. I speak of him because I've seen this kid play in person. He stood out to me when he played against Marist High School. Really good football player, and I love that he was on the field when that breakdown happened. Kirby got in his ear, and he learned from it.
Yeah,
he learned from it, and I love that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think especially in games like that, you get to learn from those mistakes. Yeah, I'm with you, because we need him. He's going to be needed.
Yes.
Yes. So I think that's a good choice. Mine, and y'all are probably going to laugh at me, which I doubt it though. Drew Miller. Drew Miller stepped in for Brett Thorson, and he had 6 punts and a 54-yard long, and he had 2 inside the 20. Now, we talked about how big of a weapon Brett Thorson is for the Dogs, and who knows, will he be back by Tennessee? We don't know yet. So Drew Miller getting this experience, if he could flip the field like that, that's huge. So, yeah, he was my impact freshman yesterday.
I love that pick. And Andy, I'll say one more thing on that real quick, Harrison, is that I think Brett Thorson is healthy enough to punt, but he's healthy enough to punt and then run off the field, because you don't want this kid punting and then having to be that safety valve where that's how he got injured anyway, right? He was making a tackle and he tore his ACL. And that's the last thing you want to see him do. And Drew Miller can do that. Okay. So, and I don't know. You're right, Andy. Who knows if does 2 weeks really make that much of a difference? Is he going to be back punting for Tennessee? I don't know, but you feel fine with Drew Miller there. I love that. That's a great call.
So what Kirby was talking about, I think earlier in the week, is he's been cleared to punt and kick in practice. What he's not cleared to do just yet is the live part of the practice where he's actually having to punt and then go sprint downfield, kind of like you're talking about.
Right.
And I don't know what 2 weeks does in terms of a difference, just like Eddie just said, so we'll see. But if I had to bet money, if Georgia needed him to go versus Tennessee, I think he would go. We'll see if he does go against Tennessee. But like you said, getting reps for Drew Miller, getting reps for guys like Bo Hewley, Daniel Calhoun, Michael Unai, these young guys is not a bad thing early in the year, because that's something Georgia did not have very much last year, to get these guys reps in key spots. This is a young football team, and they're going to continue to need these reps and play at a high level throughout the year. Let's turn the page real quick and let's talk about, I think we've talked running game a little bit. We've talked the offensive line. Let's talk Gunnar Stockton. This was a guy that I think a lot of people on the outside had as a question mark. And even for us, those of us who follow this team, who cover this team, there were some question marks. There was the question of, what does this team look like with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback? What does a Gunnar Stockton-led offense look like? And we saw a little bit yesterday. It was very vanilla. You didn't need much to beat Marshall. Georgia shouldn't have to have much to beat Marshall. But I was a little bit surprised, guys. They showed the quarterback run game a little bit more than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting to see much beyond maybe read option in the quarterback run game before Tennessee. And they pulled out, there was one designed run in the high red area early in that game. It was a keeper the whole way. He had no option to give it. It was a keeper. Showed that. There was the speed option that they ran twice. They had the read option and then obviously the scramble game. But Gunnar Stockton was Georgia's leading rusher on Saturday. Yeah. That's the first time since Justin Fields versus UMass that a quarterback has led Georgia in rushing. Reactions to Gunnar Stockton and his legs on Saturday. We'll get to passing in a moment.
Well, I thought his legs, it reminded me a lot of the Stetson days, because he could take off. And Gunnar looks more fit. He looked quicker. He looked like he was shiftier than he was at the end of the season last year. Because you saw that little move where he faked the guy out and he cut back right. Like, I thought he looked really good running the ball. And the thing is, we sit here and talk about, what if he gets hurt? Look, that's a weapon. His legs are a weapon. You got to use them, because if you're not going to use his legs as a weapon, why get a guy that can move? So, no, I thought he looked great running the ball. I thought it gives you that extra, like you're talking about him leading it. So he had 10 carries for 73 yards. Then you had the read option straight with Frazier, with Phillips. Like, you have those options now, and it's just going to make them better. So I loved his running. That was to me the best part of the game, watching him run the ball.
Yep. And this is college football 2025. Okay. Yes. The past 2 years, we were stuck in the past. I'm sorry, we were. And to watch Auburn on Friday night with Jackson Arnold, to watch Tech with Haynes King, to watch Arch Manning. I know he didn't have a good day passing, but the legs there. Lenore Sellers, we just watched a little while ago. We now have that in our backfield. And now this is one more thing on tape that Tennessee is going to have to prepare for. Whereas last year, we talked about it last week on the show, the ends just sold out. They didn't have to respect the run. They can't do that anymore. And the last thing, we're all worried about Gunnar Stockton getting hurt. Obviously, that's a big concern every time he takes off with the football. But I love the way a couple of times he slid. He knew it was coming, and he's like, I'm just going to get down and not take the contact, or running out of bounds to avoid the contact. I thought he did a great job avoiding massive hits yesterday, and that was one of Kirby's concerns, because the kid is a warrior. He doesn't care about getting hurt. He wants to lower that shoulder and blast people. I thought he did a great job protecting himself yesterday running the football.
Yeah, and that was the big concern with him was, hey, is he too much of a competitor? Will he not give himself up and go down and take and try and avoid those hits. Andy, I'm sorry I interrupted. I'll let you take it right back.
Yeah,
over.
I was just going to say him running though. I know we're going to talk about passing in a minute, but him running the ball, his ability to do that is going to make the defenders have to respect it, and that's going to open up the pass. So yeah, it works. So having a quarterback that gives you a running threat is so important, especially today. I mean, it's these guys. You can't have a statue back there. You got to have somebody that can move.
Got to have some mobility because it just helps you out not only in the passing game but in the running game, especially. Georgia saw that this past weekend when the backside end on some of those run plays over pursued. Stockton pulled it. It made him pay for it. I think twice for a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, if my mind serves me correct. Let's talk about the passing game. And I know we have biggest improvements needed listed as something we want to talk about. So I guess we'll start there because for me, it's the passing game from Saturday in terms of where I want to see the biggest improvements. I know it was vanilla. I know it was against Marshall. I think Gunnar had a good day. I ain't saying he played terrible. I ain't saying he played bad at all. I think he was good.
Harrison's going to mute himself. I think his mic might have messed up, but no, I agree. You back?
Yeah.
There you go.
He did what he needed to. I think so. Yep.
I think his mic maybe. I'll chime in on that because I think he did what he needed to do as well. And another thing, I don't think we had great pass blocking early on. So Eddie, I think that was one of the things. And so I do think that Gunnar was probably getting rid of the ball a little quicker than I would have liked him to. I thought there were some times where the pocket was there and he sort of got out. But Harrison, I think you may be back. But that's what I think he might have checked down a little sooner. What did you see on that, Harrison?
There's a few instances where I think he left some yards on the field, which is to be expected with a young quarterback. With any quarterback, you're going to leave yards on the field. The most glaring one, it was early third quarter. It was actually one of his throwaways. They ran a little play action they faked the give out of shotgun. They had a deep post. I believe it was Noah Thomas, and they had a deep over with Colby Young. I think both on the same side. Gunnar, eyes center of the field, looking. I don't know who he's looking at, but he's looking in the direction of that post and that deep over. Was looking at it, didn't really have pressure. Colby was running wide open.
Yeah.
And Gunnar doesn't see it. I don't know if he saw it and just decided, hey, I don't want to make that pass. But anyways, rolls out right and throws the ball away after taking some pressure. That was the most glaring miss of the night, other than the underthrow, a little bit of an underthrow to Oscar Delp on that corner route. Yeah. If he hits him in stride right there, that was a touchdown.
Easy touchdown.
Yeah.
So other than that, that's where I want to see the biggest improvement. Again, it was Marshall. You weren't going to show very much, but what they asked of him, I thought he did a good job.
So I'll take that one step further, and I understand what you're getting at, and I think it will with time, Harrison, get a little better. But a lot of the chatter I saw on Twitter and the dog vent, et cetera, was like, Gunnar can't throw the ball downfield. Well, I want to stop everybody right now and talk about two throws he made to the end zone, one of which Lawson Lucky was interfered with. You remember that? And that slowed him down. Yes, I think that pass, the way he threw it, if Lawson Lucky is not hit, he catches that in stride and walks into the end zone. The second one he threw in the correct spot, the corner of the end zone, and Noah Thomas, for whatever reason, kind of did that and kind of, y'all remember what I'm talking about? He kind of he stopped running. Even the announcer pointed it out. If he keeps running to the pylon, that's a touchdown. He threw those two balls where they needed to go. Okay. So I'm not in the least bit worried about the way he's throwing the football, and it's just going to get better with time. But man, he drilled that one slant pass to Zachariah Branch. He drilled that thing. The guy can throw it when he needs to. He's got an arm.
And you saw that touchdown pass to London Humphrey. So he
takes and that was his fourth progression, by the way.
He goes through progressions and he looks the safety off. The safety moves over and he hits him coming across the middle.
That was an awesome throw.
I would have loved to seen him take a few more shots just to see it. But I thought all in all, I thought he had a really good game, especially being
one more thing here. Sorry.
No, this is his second game starting, right? So
yeah. But one more thing, I would rather him go through two quick progressions and then take off, run, and get positive yards, rather than try to make a forced throw, which may end up being an interception or an incomplete pass, and then we're 2nd and 10. Rather him taking off, and now we're 2nd and 5. I'll take that all day long
for sure.
Never go broke, taking a profit, gentlemen.
Right.
That was the mantra under Jake Fromm. It might be the mantra again.
Did you learn that in college? Did you learn that in college last week, Harrison?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
I know Eddie learned that about 70 years ago in college,
Yeah.
but I have yet to learn it in college.
You
Gentlemen, what
guys
was
can't
y'all's
let it go, can you?
what was y'all's biggest point of improvement that y'all want to see going forward from Saturday's game?
Offensive line. I really wanted to see the offensive line just dominate these guys. That's kind of where I was at. I wanted to see them just come out and just straight up just run them over, and they didn't do that, and that was a little concerning for me. But I was happy with the defense. I was happy with Gunnar. I was happy. I mean, Dylan Bell dropped the ball. That sucked, because I'm like, come on, not again. But for the most part, I wanted to see a mauling offensive line. So that I think that would be my one big concern, or not big concern, but my concern. And yes, Foster, we did fire Paul.
Yes, we did. Harrison fired Paul. He'd had enough.
What about you, Eddie? You have any concerns?
So, do y'all know who the leading tackler was yesterday? I'm asking y'all. Y'all probably know, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I saw it. Was it Zion Branch? If my
That's
memory serves, I was.
Zion Branch,
I saw the
yeah,
box score, so I might
Yeah.
have been cheating there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I figured you guys knew. I mean, it's kind of rhetorical. Yeah, Zion Branch, which we all know it was kind of garbage time and all that. But I mean, he led the stat sheet. He made the most tackles, but there were a lot of tackles for losses. Yes, but there were 2 zeros on the scoreboard for the defense: turnovers and sacks. 0 in both categories. And that was one thing Kirby made an emphasis on going into this season. We got to get more turnovers, guys. Okay. So they didn't do that. I'm more concerned about the lack of sacks. That is something you've got to do. For example, and I'm not overlooking Austin Peay, so don't write it in there. I'm a fan. I can overlook anybody I want.
Yeah.
Tennessee coming up. You got to sack that kid. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about hurries, knocking him off his spot. You got to put him on the ground. So that's what and it looked like Gabe Harris was getting close a couple times, right? And so maybe it works itself out, but I really wanted to see more pressure on the quarterback and getting him to the ground.
I'm with you. I think they were really focused on trying to stop that run. They had Marshall had 30 carries for 79 yards. So and plus they only had 21 pass attempts. So that's
right.
So it's not like they were, and they were getting the ball out too. They weren't staying in there. So, it was, I'm not too concerned about that, because I think James, he just posted, he said, I thought a couple of those TFL should have been sacks. And I did too. I thought there were a couple that were sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of,
maybe so
weird.
But
I thought
we talk about the vanilla stuff Kirby and Bobo do on offense against these two teams. Probably the same thing. Vanilla schemes on defense, right? They're not going to put anything on tape for Tennessee when the games start mattering down the road. So, I think it could have been the way they were lined up on defense too.
I think so too. Harrison, I think your mic's acting up again.
There we go.
Okay.
How about now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I think I left the mute button on by mistake. I think that's the biggest thing going forward, is going to see what is Georgia's ability to get pressure on quarterbacks, particularly quickly. In today's game, people are trying to get the ball out in 2.4 seconds, 2.5 seconds. That's the pro standard in terms of times to get the ball out. The average time it takes in the NFL for a quarterback to get the ball out. They got to figure out guys that can get pressure as quickly as possible. These first 2 games, I don't know how much of a measuring stick it is.
Yeah, I
won't put much stock into it. But yes, it might just be a tad bit concerning when you come back to the stat sheet and you're like, man, no sacks against Marshall. I can definitely see why you're like, ooh, that's a little scary. We will definitely monitor that as the year goes on. What else do we want to hit? Anything else that we want to hit from this game?
I do. You were in the booth, right? You were up in the booth yesterday for the game. So from that angle and all, what did you see? And did you talk to anyone? Were they saying, oh, this was good, this was bad? I mean, has anyone kind of been happy about some, upset about others?
Other than what we've talked about as a staff, and you can see in the coverage over at ujsports.com, can't plug that enough. Subscribe for $1 today. Get your first week for $1. Includes complimentary access to the Athletic.
For a year.
For a year. That is huge. Go take that value. Awesome value over there at the Athletic. In terms of the conversations we've had there, I haven't seen anything different from what we've talked about, from what everybody else has talked about. Run game, hard to judge. You saw a little bit more diverse of a scheme in the run game. Brent Rollins pointed that out over there. You can go check out the numbers he had in terms of gap scheme versus zone run scheme. There were some differences there. We've talked about that in terms of speed option, read option. Yeah. Like they did some different things. Passing game, it's tough. It's Marshall. But I don't know. I know we've mentioned him, but I don't know if we've talked about him, I guess, a little bit more in depth. Let's talk Zachariah Branch. That guy, the one word that we talked about with Zachariah Branch going into this year was that guy's electric. That guy's an explosive play that's waiting to happen. He showed that in bits and pieces at USC. Hadn't really put together a full season as a receiver at USC. Now he comes to Georgia. He's going to play in a more pro-style offense. He's going to have every opportunity to be that guy. And on Saturday, 3 of his 4 catches, I want to say, were on third down.
He is everything we thought he was going to be. Like he will take at least a punt, maybe 2, maybe 3 to the house this year. He's so close to doing that. But yeah, that 47-yard little swing, he was basically just a check down. And next thing you know, he's gone to the house, 47 yards. He's explosive. I mean, he's everything that we need at that slot position. We've been kind of talking about, I think James, he said he was Isaiah McKenzie, but quicker. He reminded me of kind of like a Damian Gary type, that shiftiness, moving around, just he's good. And even Mecole Hardman sort of in that, like in that type, he's just something, he's different. He's a difference maker. So.
I think James Carraway made a good point there. He can be a 1,000-yard receiver the way he plays. I mean, he's on pace right now.
Yeah, he's on pace for it.
He's ridiculous. And he caught that slant we talked about, and that little pass you were talking about, Andy, was unbelievable. But my favorite one was when they hit that. It almost looked like a lateral. It was early in the game. It may have been after the slant. And it looked like he was going to be dropped for a loss. And he broke 3 or 4 tackles, spun around, and turned that into like a 30-yard gain. I mean,
that was a screen pass.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a little screen pass, and it was not there. I mean, the blocking was not there.
You could hear it in the stadium. You could hear it at home, everywhere. Damn it, Bobo. Damn the screens.
Yeah.
And then he makes a move, and he gets the first down, and he gets a lot more.
And he's a little young man. I mean, he's not a large human being by any means. Like, he's not like a Colby Young or a Noah Thomas, but he's twirling and breaking tackles, and he's ridiculous. I mean, thank goodness for him. Hey, before we move on from the Dogs, I want to ask you a question, Harrison. I don't know the answer to this. In the press booth, do y'all have glass in front of you, or is it open to the stadium where you can hear everything?
It is glass. So it is, the sound's definitely a little muted.
So it's muffled and muted. Okay. So I wanted to ask you about the crowd, because Kirby was asked about this in the press conference, about the lulls in the third and fourth quarter, about, what did you think of the crowd? I don't know how she worded the question, but Kirby basically said, "You said it, I didn't." Kind of taking a shot at the fans, but not really, because he didn't want to go down that road. Did you feel, and there were lulls. I mean, there were lulls to me sitting at home watching. We were up 21-0, and we punted the ball 3 times. That's football. There's going to be lulls in it. You're not going to have the crowd going bananas the whole time during Marshall. So did you kind of feel that and see people leaving? And I don't think that's bad. That's going to happen. But what did you feel like, Harrison, being at the game?
I know at halftime, because I made my way back to the backside of the press box to get some food, as anybody else does at halftime. In the window, I looked outside, and you could see. Now, granted, the press box is over on the Tate side, nearest to Tate, and that corner of the end zone. You saw a mass of humanity, people leaving the game at halftime.
Really,
a lot of them. You see people filing out. You go look in the end zone behind the scoreboard, people filing out at halftime. That stadium. I mean, when you go look at in the second half, there weren't that many people there. It filled up. I was a little concerned pregame, about like 20, 30 minutes to kick. There was a lot of empty seats, a ton of empty seats. But then it filled up. There were still a couple thousand people filing in from the sides. But then you get to the second half, and it really looks – there were a lot of people that left. And I get it. It is Marshall. The crowd's not going to be going crazy for the entire game. I'm sure when they play tennis, when they play Kentucky, that place is going to be packed. That place is going to be loud until that game's in hand. And then it will calm down just like any other stadium. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the crowd was insane. I don't think it. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of a home field advantage there against Marshall, but I mean, what more can you expect? But yes, I'm with you, Eddie. I don't think Kirby wants the smoke when it comes to the fan base until he really needs it. When he's asked for something, the fan base has given it to him.
Yeah.
So I think he's saving the opportunity to just call out that fan base for a little bit later when he actually needs to do it in a big game.
Andy, anything on that?
No, I think it makes sense that I mean, you know, a little subtle shot. It's just one of those like, yeah, I know it's Marshall now, but when we're playing Texas, when we're playing Alabama, we've got to make sure we got 4 quarters loud as you can be. So yeah, no, I think it's fine. I don't think it was a.
The only thing I'll say to that is that Kirby almost acts like this is unique to the University of Georgia. I'm sorry. If I didn't see it, I'm sure if you watched the Swamp yesterday with Florida and they're up 55-0 on Long Island, are you telling me they were there till 0-0-0, packed, screaming? No, it's not. I'm sorry. When Alabama comes to Georgia in a couple of weeks, that will take care of itself. The place will be going bananas. Now, if we're up, you know what? If we're up 45-0 in the fourth, people ain't going to be leaving that game.
No,
I can tell you right now.
No, they're going to
be making fun of Bama fans in the crowd is what they're going to be doing. So that is going to take care of itself. It's not unique to Georgia, Kirby. This is the way it is when you play a Marshall or an Austin Peay. We do the best we can, but there are lulls in football, and you're not going to keep everybody engaged all 4 quarters. It's just not going to happen nationwide.
Yeah,
I'm with you there, Eddie.
You play better teams. Don't play Marshall. Don't play Austin Peay.
Well, that's not his fault, you know, or the teams, right? They can't control who they play. So neither can the crowd, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
Let's hit some questions before we move on from the dogs. Josh Skelton asked, how about I might have butchered that. I'm sorry if I did. How about Kyron Jones getting the start at safety opposite KJ Bolden? Yeah. Kyron Jones, I don't know if I penciled him in I had Ja'Cory Thomas probably being the starter across from KJ Bolden. That was a little bit surprised to me. I was, and I need to go back and look more closely. I was thinking we were going to see Kyron Jones more at star rather than safety. But Kirby Smart said post game what he likes about Kyron Jones, and he said he's physical and he's a thumper. He gets downhill, he runs at people, and he tackles people. He thumps people. Kyron Jones, guys, I don't know if y'all remember when they played. Who was it in the start of 23? He had that pick 6. It's like one of his first games in a Georgia uniform, that pick 6 against, I forget who they played that year in the opener. That was the introduction to Kyron Jones. And now, a few years later, he's getting a chance to start. This is a guy that was, I think, a 3-star out of high school. This was a track athlete. I believe he's from Charlotte.
I think
he's
so.
getting his chance.
Yeah.
And that's what we talked about on this show. The guys who have been there, the guys who have worked, will get every chance to win these jobs when it comes down to these position battles against newer, younger guys. And Kyron Jones got his chance Saturday, and he'll get his chance again on this coming Saturday and going forward.
Yeah, we're going to have somebody step up in there, but like the snap counts, like Kyron Jones actually he only had 16 snaps, and Adrian Maddox had more. So DeMello Jones had, he had a lot. So, I mean, there's a lot of the guys that got a lot of snaps. So, and maybe it was just kind of one of those rewarding him, like, okay, you're getting the start. Maybe he's not the starter, but, maybe it was a reward for being here for 2 or 3 years. But it's good to see.
How many snaps did Ja'Cory Thomas get? Do y'all know that?
Yeah, Ja'Cory Thomas.
I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but I don't recall him even playing a lot.
He had 18.
Oh, he had that many? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Real quick. Josh again says, I'm a little worried about right tackle with Green being injured and now Gaston as well. I guess Hewley going to play at right tackle versus Tennessee. I wouldn't go that far. We're going to have to wait and see there. We should get an update from Kirby on, I just got a text. We aren't having a press conference tomorrow. So it will be Tuesday at the earliest before we hear from Kirby Smart about the availability of his offensive line. But hey, for this coming week, for especially Hewley and Calhoun and Unai, those guys need reps. So if they start, good. If they don't, they're gonna have to get in there and play some reps because Georgia needs to build some depth along the offensive line.
I'm really worried about Juan Gaston though, because an MRI means at a minimum 3 or 4 weeks, or it could mean tightrope. You don't do an MRI for just a tweaked ankle. Something's
No.
bad there. And watching that replay, he's lucky he didn't blow out his entire knee.
God.
That was ugly. I don't know if you saw the replay, Harrison.
I would be laying there.
I mean, I thought it was the way his leg collapsed. I thought his knee was blown out, but they were pointing at his ankle when he was up there, which I was like, well, that's good, better than a knee. But that was gruesome. And it was just a freak thing. But we need Juan Gaston. There's Brent Rollins has a video of him pulling, and he runs like a running back, and just
that guy he mauled that guy over. Could you imagine being a guy that looked up and saw that big, massive man running at you? Like, oh, crap.
I think it was a strong safety he hit too.
It was died. Oh, that would be that'd be brutal. So, but
and I guess we'll go ahead and let that. We'll wrap it up there on the Georgia segment. I guess real quick before we get into a Georgia high school football update. Miami, Notre Dame still 0-0. Miami just botched the hold on a field goal earlier in that game.
Who was holding the ball?
Completely?
Who was holding?
It was not Carson. It was not Carson Beck. I want to say it was probably their punter.
I did see a couple of people.
Is it still raining like crazy?
It's still raining a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't tell, but it is still raining a little bit because people are still drenched. Hang
on, Andy. Before you go, one question for both of y'all. Georgia is currently. I'm looking for the spread versus Austin P.
Will even do one?
I don't know. I was hoping. I was going to see if y'all thought they'd cover it. I can't even find a spread, so they may not even do one. So yeah, never mind.
I'll say no.
Okay. Go ahead, Carl.
I ain't touching that spread unless I'm betting Georgia not to cover. Georgia high school football update. Andy, what's our scores of the week?
Well, we had Morgan County. They beat Oconee County 35-14. That's Oconee County struggling. They're dropped to 1-2 on the year. Stevens County, up where Mr. Eddie from Acworth is at right now.
Right here.
They beat Cedar Shoals 13-7. So Cedar Shoals is 0-3, and Stevens County is 2-1. Athens Academy beat Shaw 44-14. That's big. My Franklin County Lions, we took down Banks County 44-0. I didn't know Franklin County could score 44 points.
Well, they did.
They did. Actually, the week before they scored 70. But and then Carrollton, the number 3 team in the state, they beat Rome 28-21. And Eddie, how about those Marist War Eagles? How did they do?
Yeah, Marist beat Woodward 16-12, and that's the battle of the War Eagles. And when I was playing back in the 20s, right, with leather helmets, it was always a Marist versus Woodward showdown. That was a huge rivalry, and since they've kind of retweaked things, they're playing each other again, which is nice to see. But congratulations to my Marist War Eagles right there. So, and lastly, I wanted to point out, this is a local thing to me. Harrison High School, 25, North Paulding, 23. Shout out to Parker Perkins. He is a sophomore and scored a 40-yard touchdown. My wife works with his dad at the local elementary school. So he's a really good football player. Watch out for Perkins coming up. He may land an NIL deal here in a couple of years. He's that good.
That good. Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah. As a sophomore.
Yeah, that's big.
I was at, where was I this Friday? I was at Blessed Trinity versus Prince Avenue. Saw David Jacobs Jr. and Andrew Beard. Talk about the two guys. Beard had, considering his offensive line was outmatched, Beard had a good game. I think nearly 100 yards rushing in that game. Playing a really, really stout Blessed Trinity defensive line.
Beat these good.
This man, David Jacobs, absolute menace. This guy was dang near unblockable all day Friday. Had 2 sacks. Probably should have had a third with a few tackles for a loss. But here's a guy y'all should look out for if y'all don't know already. His little brother, Dawson Jacobs, true sophomore. He played nose tackle / D tackle at 225 pounds last year. He's now up to 225 or at 250. He told me Sunday. He's put on 25 pounds. I think he's already 6'3", 6'4". This is a big guy. He already has offers from Georgia, Texas, the like of them. Somebody to watch. The Jacobs brothers are for real. They're going to be people to watch going forward. Georgia's in on both of them. Obviously, David Jacobs, the 2027 prospect. We will see where he ends up. No commitment set at this time, but he is certainly one to watch, one of the best players in the state for that class. We're looking forward to seeing him continue his career along with his brother Dawson here going forward.
What year is Dawson, Harrison? Is he a freshman?
Dawson's a sophomore.
Okay, he's a sophomore.
He played as a 225-pound freshman at defensive tackle.
That's a
at
zero
Blessed
tech?
Trinity as a zero tackle.
Wow.
Impressive kid right there. Both awesome to talk to. Can't wait to see where they go here in the future.
Hey,
gentlemen. What's up?
You see those posts from the Georgia Bulldogs football podcast and Josh Skelton. He's from Amplate, Stevens County. They're good this year. They're really good.
Yeah, they're 2-1 right now. Yeah.
And Josh Skelton.
I'm literally speaking to y'all from Toccoa, so that's where my wife went to school. So shout out Stevens County Indians, and they're still called the Indians, by the way. They haven't changed their name. Good for them.
They are. And Josh asked about White County. Well, unfortunately, it looks like White County is struggling this year. They are 0-2. They lost this past weekend to Habersham Central 17-3, and the week before or 2 weeks ago they played Rabun County and they got blown out 42-6. So yeah, they're struggling a little bit this year. So
Eddie, we got a question for you from Alex Page. Eddie, are you a Marist alum? Us Hab boys aren't fans of Marist.
Hab, what's a Hab boy? I'm sorry.
Habersham.
I was just about to ask the same thing. I'm assuming Habersham, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Habersham County, I guess. So I don't know why. I mean, when I was in high school, we went to the state championship, but I'll tell you guys a quick story. For the North Georgia State Championship, we played Stevens County up here where I am. Marist was undefeated, and we came up here and won 30-0, just destroyed them. And believe it or not, my future wife was in the crowd. We didn't know each other, obviously. This was 6 years later before we met, but she was there watching us beat Stevens County. So very cool stadium because it's kind of down in a valley. And it's a neat place. So I'll never forget. And by the way, I remember leaving that game, and the Stevens County people were as gracious and as nice as you could be after getting their tails whipped. They were just great people. It was a great, fond memory of mine.
Real quick, before we move on, I do, since he is in the comments today, let's give our friend Randy Powers a shout out. He shot video down on the field this weekend for UGSports.com. They posted the highlights over here on this YouTube channel. Go check those out. After you're done listening to the Peach State Power, don't leave us mid-show. Go check those out. Give him a follow over on Twitter. And obviously, go follow him. Subscribe to him over on YouTube. Does an awesome job. Looking forward to seeing what other content he does with us this football season. Gentlemen.
What is his Twitter handle? Can he post it for us?
Yeah, go ahead and put that in the comments for us if you don't mind. I don't have Twitter pulled up. Put that in the chat for the good people to follow you over there on Twitter. Gentlemen, Georgia's kicked off this season. The Braves, I don't want to talk about them. Y'all don't want to talk about them. It makes Eddie upset. Eddie just hate watches them these days. Let's talk about another team.
I just don't watch them. I just don't watch them.
I don't blame you. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. They're about to kick off their season coming Sunday, I believe. If my calendar is correct, this coming Sunday.
Today. That's right.
Playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's before we get into week one conversation, I want to do season predictions first.
Okay.
Because we can do week one predictions and kind of let the people know where we're thinking. But let's go ahead and get the season predictions in here first. Where do y'all see this season going for the Falcons? I think over the last few years, everybody's sitting around, that at 500, one game under 500, a game over 500. Where are the boys sitting on where the Atlanta Falcons are going to finish this season?
All right. I think I was getting a little hopeful for the Falcons up until we lost starting right tackle and the backup right tackle. That is the blind side for Michael Penix. Michael Penix doesn't get to play in the preseason for some ungodly reason. We don't know. He doesn't need experience, whatever. I think the Falcons are going to struggle this year. And I think coming out of the gate, looking at their schedule, they play Tampa Bay this weekend. Then they got the Vikings. Then they got the Panthers. Then the Commanders. And then the Bills. I think they will start the season 0-5 and end up somewhere in the 6-11 to 7-10 range. I'm going to say 7-10, but I think they're going to start the season 0-5. I just think.
I have a question for you, Andy. Then,
okay.
And I don't think that's unreasonable what you said at all because of where they are coming out of the gate. Who knows what we're going to have with Michael Penix? He's only started 3 games in his entire NFL career. Who knows if he's ready to go? And you're right to bring up the blind side. That is a very scary situation now at tackle. We brought in 2 guys this week, but they were cut for whatever reason. Yeah, exactly. So, they weren't good enough to make another NFL squad. They're here now. They're going to go with Elijah Wilkinson, who I don't even think has even played in an NFL game. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it's very limited. Do you think for an 0-5 start, Raheem Morris is still coaching after the 6th game?
Yes.
You do?
I do not think Arthur Blank would fire him in the season. And I don't think
Why?
So. I just don't think they will. I think he loves Raheem Morris. I think he's his guy. And I don't think he would fire him after an 0-5 start.
See, I think he will. And I think Blank is looking at the clock. I mean, his physical clock, and saying, I'm 82. Time's a ticking. We got to get this done now. I need a ring, and I want him to get a ring. I want a ring, right?
Yeah.
And I think if they start 0-5, I think he moves on, Andy, actually, because they've got to make the playoffs. And I think they get rid of him and they put in an interim, and then they find that coach early starting next year. So that's interesting. When you put 0-5, that's the first thing that came to mind is Raheem can carry his job through the season.
He may not. I don't think Blank would fire him, but he may say, you know what, we're 0-5. And the thing is, I could see if he was going to fire him, their bye week is week 5. And I think they could say if they're 0-4, he could pull the trigger then. I do not think he would pull it. I don't think he would let him stay on, and then they have the bye week, and then they go to Buffalo, or Buffalo comes to Atlanta, but plays Buffalo and loses to them, then fires him. If it doesn't happen if they start 0-4, I could see it happening. But if it doesn't happen after that, I don't think so. But again, I'm worried about the right tackle, and I don't think it's going to be a very good year. Again, your quarterback's got 3 starts, and they would not even let him play in the preseason. Get the guy some experience. They didn't do it, and so I think 7-10 is the ceiling. I would lean more toward a 5-12 type. If you look at the schedule, look at their schedule.
Yeah, and I said this before. It's so easy to look at a schedule and say win, loss, but who knows? And this may be crazy to say. Buffalo could be bad this year. Things happen in the NFL, right? I understand, but what if the quarterback gets hurt?
If Josh Allen gets hurt, now that's a whole other story.
Right.
But
you can't predict that, right? I mean, remember what happened with the Jets a few years ago there, and Rodgers, he's out first play from scrimmage, and their whole season went down the toilet, and they were predicted to have a pretty good season. So I understand what you're saying. On paper, it looks tough, but things can change radically in the NFL. But off of that, this team is now 7 years with a losing record. And I predict it goes 8. I'm with you, Andy. I don't think it's as dire as you, but I think we go 8-9. And I think 2 of those losses lay right at the feet of Raheem Morris and him keeping timeouts for the next game because he thinks they carry over or some crap like that. I have zero faith in our coach. Now, the things I do have faith in is Jalen Walker and James Pierce. I cannot wait to watch these young men play football for the Falcons. I think they are saying James Pierce is a game wrecker the way he's playing in practice. I know it's practice. He's shown a little bit out on the field, but they were very high on this young man. They were going to take him if Jalen Walker was not there, and they ended up taking Jalen Walker, thank goodness. I cannot wait to sit down and watch Jalen Walker play for the team that I love, but I just think at some point the season's going to go backwards. You're going to go on some 0-4 losing streak, and I'm going to lay 2 of those right at the feet of Raheem Morris. I have zero faith in our coach. Zero. As Kirby says, 0.
Well, this puts me in a tough spot. I don't think it's going to be as bad as y'all think it will be. Okay. But I am unsure, and it's really going to depend on how the rest of the league turns out in terms of whether this is good. I think this team should be good enough to get you 10 wins. I could see a scenario where they go 10-7. The question then becomes, is that good enough to get you in the postseason? Some years, yes. Other years, no. But I'm looking at that 5-game stretch. Andy, I'm not ready to say they go 0-5 because I think you should beat Carolina even when you're on the road. I think 2-3 is more likely. I would say is more likely. I would say Minnesota and Carolina are your 2 wins. Your 3 losses are Tampa and Washington and Buffalo.
Didn't Minnesota go 14-3 or something last year?
They did well, but what'd they do in the playoffs?
What did the Falcons do in the playoffs? Oh, they were watching it on TV. But
Yeah.
I hope you're right. I don't see it. I looked at schedules today. I looked at rankings from last year, and I'm just not. I know JJ McCarthy's the guy there, and I know Sam Darnold was last year or whatever.
I'm not here on JJ McCarthy. I don't think he's going to be very good. I am selling Minnesota Vikings stock. Michael Penix showed me more on the NFL field with the Atlanta Falcons in his 3 games. Say what you want, than JJ McCarthy ever has in an NFL uniform. Michael Penix can drive the ball down the field. Michael Penix is accurate downfield. He showed a lot last year that should get you excited. I know the injury at right tackle, that is definitely a concern, especially when they haven't replaced him. I don't think that's going to be an easy thing to do in terms of having to play without a right tackle, for sure. But if there's anybody I can trust to get the ball out quick enough, I think Michael Penix has shown he can do that. I like the connection he was building with Drake London. I like Darnell Mooney. That's probably one of the more underrated finds that Terry Fontenot's had. I like that. Yeah. I also like Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. I think this team should get to 10 wins. Should. Will they? I don't know. But if they play it how they should, and this is a run-first team that gives its quarterbacks in good situations and doesn't have him throw it 50 times a game because they're trailing, I think this team should be good enough to really give Tampa Bay a run for its money in the division. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but there's no way in hell, with the Saints being as poor as they are and in a rebuild, that you should finish below second in the division this year. And if they do, fire everybody. Just fire them.
Well, I'll push back on that because the Carolina Panthers playing Bryce Young, what happened? He struggled. Then he
kind of figured some things out.
And that's my issue. If we would have played the starters in the preseason and Caleb McGarry wouldn't have went down, I would say, I'm with you, 10 wins, maybe 11. But there we go. M. Charles says, didn't play the starters in the preseason, doesn't bode well. I'm with you. And that's my thing. If they would have played the starters, I know. But if they would have played the starters and McGarry did not get hurt, that's your blind side on essentially a rookie quarterback. I mean, 3 starts. And I lost all confidence in the team after that happened.
Hey, one more thing about this football game. I will be there in person. Shout out to my boss. He offered me suite tickets, which are given to my company by our bank. So I'm going to be sitting in a suite. And I hope I'm not disappointed, but more than likely will be because of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I can see Baker Mayfield running around doing his crap, and he hates this town because of what Georgia did to him in the Rose Bowl. So he wants to stick it to us. But I'm looking forward to being there and just to see it in person because I think it'll be a good crowd because there's a lot of excitement around this team. And rightfully so. We could be a really good offensive team this year. Really good. We got some legit. Well, I mean, Bijan Robinson's the number 1 draft pick in most fantasy drafts.
Yeah, he might be the best.
He's correct. And Tyler Algier is no slouch. I love when he comes in the game and just hammers people. So maybe that takes a little pressure off of Penix, that running game, and he can hit some of those quick hitters. And I think the whole key to this season, guys, is can Kyle Pitts finally get back to being what we saw when he was a rookie with Matt Ryan? He had 1,000 yards. He was healthy. Can you do that for us? I'm not saying you got to hit 1,000 yards, but just catch a couple touchdown passes. Have 500 yards and be a football player.
I'm with you. Yeah. It'd be nice if he did, but he's a Gator, so we can't trust a Gator. So.
Well, that's true. And he was a number 4 pick, and that's not good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have Tampa winning. Y'all have, I think, are we all in agreement? I don't think Falcons get game 1, but I do expect them to win game 2.
I agree. I don't think we win that.
All right. We're all in agreement here for the first time ever on the Falcons.
Well, I could disagree if you want. If you want me to.
No. We're good. We're good. We'll take positivity to end the show. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for the Peach State Power Hour. That's Andy Stowe. That's Eddie from Acworth. I'm Harrison Reno. Your dogs are 1-0. They will likely be 2-0. If not, we will have a lot to get to over on next week's show.
If not, we won't be here next week because we'll all be dead because I'm going to jump off the roof. So
yeah. Just as a reminder, Paul's always wrong. Appreciate you, Paul Mahary, for being on the show last week.
He wasn't wrong about my mic, though. He was right about that.
Yeah,
so
he was right about that. He was finally right. About time. Anyways, we'll see you live back here 7:30 over here on the Peach State Power on the UGA Sports YouTube channel. Boys, football is back. Miami Notre Dame's on. Miami just took a 7-0 lead. Go over there, watch some football, enjoy some football, and have a fantastic, wonderful, safe Labor Day weekend. Let's hit it, boys.
Go Dogs.